The movie begins with Shaggy Rogers and his talking dog Scooby-Doo running in an abandoned building and saying that they hate puppets. Fred, Velma, and Daphne prepare a trap, and Shaggy and Scooby run into the theater as a ghost chases them. Fred says the trap isn't ready, and the ghost tries to attack them, but Batman emerges and pursues it. The mystery gang is shocked, and Batman says they shouldn't be loitering in an abandoned building. They tell him they are there to solve the mystery of the ghost, and the lights turn off. The ghost appears and Batman tries to attack it, but goes through it. The mystery-solving gang named Mystery Incorporated begins to run, and Fred accidentally catches Batman in his trap. He realizes that the ghost is afraid of fire, but the matchstick he's holding goes out. They split up as they run out of the building, and Fred gets an idea as he sees a bulldozer. He flashes the bulldozer's lights on the ghost as it emerges and uses it to knock down some rocks, trapping the ghosts in the process. Velma begins putting together all the clues they gathered, but is shocked to see that the ghosts are Detective Chimp and Martian Manhunter. Batman emerges and begins to clap as he says they've passed the test. He welcomes them into the Mystery Analysts of Gotham, and they are excited. Batman tells them that their next meeting is in a week and asks them to help him with some cases in the meantime. Unknown to them, a ghost-like figure known as the Crimson Cloak watches from a distance. Later, Batman fights the Riddler and stops him from escaping with a pile of gold. Catwoman and other goons emerge to help the Riddler, but Aquaman and the Question emerge. A fight ensues and Catwoman hits Question into some boxes as a goon holds him down. Aquaman then uses his hydrokinesis to gather all the villains, and Batman electrocutes them. He tells Question that they'll have to attend the Mystery Analysts meeting, but tells Aquaman it's invite only and he's not a member. Mystery Incorporated searches for the venue of the meeting, and Daphne wonders who Batman is. They drive past several doors and Daphne sees an anagram. She solves it, and they see that it's the entrance to the venue. Batman welcomes them to the meeting and introduces them to some other heroes. They sit at a table and Plastic Man startles Daphne but gives her a seat. Martian Manhunter says it's tradition for new members to solve one of the group's unsolved cases, and a file cabinet emerges. They see that Batman has only one unsolved case, but he tells them it's off limits. Aquaman emerges in disguise and pretends to be a detective, but Batman knows who he really is and says he can stay. An alarm goes off and the group sees that someone is stealing from Gotham's chemical storage warehouse. Batman suggests that Mystery Incorporated takes the lead on the case, and they make their way to the warehouse. Batman hears an eerie voice calling his name, but no one else can hear it. The group notices that someone is still in the building, and Fred splits them into teams to find clues. Batman, Aquaman, and Scooby move around as they search for clues, and Aquaman tries getting information on his unsolved case. But Batman refuses to talk. Shaggy tries to eat a cookie, but Martian Manhunter takes it from him and phases through some boxes. Velma and Detective Chimp see that some vials are missing and realize that it's Isotope 29. Daphne walks with Plastic Man and realizes that he was a criminal named Eel O'Brien, but he changed his ways. He begins sneezing and tells Daphne that the cold messes with his stretching. Batman continues hearing the voice and says he can handle whatever is in the building alone. The Crimson Cloak emerges and says he has arrived to make Batman pay for what he did. It begins attacking them and knocks several heroes down as it sets the building on fire. The heroes run out of the building, and Plastic Man shields them from the explosion. Aquaman and Black Canary put out the fire, and Batman instructs Mystery Incorporated to meet him at a shop. Detective Harvey Bullock enters the shop and begins interrogating Mystery Incorporated. He shows them a picture of their van leaving the chemical warehouse, and they tell him they didn't steal anything. Bullock tries arresting the group, but Batman emerges and stops him. He leaves as Batman sits with the group and tells them about his unsolvable case. Batman enters a warehouse during his first year of crime fighting and sees Professor Milo beside a teleportation machine. The experiment goes wrong and he subdues Milo, but is unable to save Dr. Leo Scarlet, Milo's assistant. Batman tells Mystery Incorporated that he's shocked to see what Milo has become, and Shaggy says he is a real ghost. They decide to help Batman solve the case, and Daphne realizes that Milo's second henchman is Edward Nygma, popularly known as the Riddler. Velma says that they have to question him, and they make their way to Arkham Asylum. Scooby helps them find the Riddler's cell, and he and Shaggy run away. Batman asks how he is involved with Milo and asks what Crimson Cloak is. The Riddler says Crimson Cloak is his fate because he was unable to save Leo's life. He then says Leo's lab coat is in a grave in Arkham Cemetery, and the gang leaves and searches for Shaggy and Scooby. Crimson Cloak suddenly emerges and tries to attack Batman, but Batman frees himself and falls to the ground. Crimson Cloak appears and the building's power goes out, causing all the inmates to escape from their cells. Shaggy and Scooby enter the cafeteria and gather their food. But Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy emerge. They attack the duo and several other villains emerge. Two-Face throws a plate of food at them, but they dodge it and it hits Harley. She then calls a food fight and Ivy uses her plants to attack. Shaggy and Scooby eat their way out of the room and bump into the others. Velma says that they can't let the villains escape into the city, and Batman tells them to keep moving. They run around the prison and Batman knocks down the villains he encounters. The gang continues running around and Batman knocks down most of the villains. He says they need to seal the exit before the villains escape. They run out of the building, shut the door, and Batman uses his laser to seal the door. Shaggy says he regrets letting all the food go to waste, and Daphne tells them they are in front of Arkham Cemetery. Batman and the gang walk into the cemetery and see a crypt with the Riddler's question mark on it. They open the crypt and find a piece of Leo's lab coat on it. Scooby finds a footprint, and Batman freezes it as he picks it up. They step out of the crypt and find Detective Bullock opening the batch of the mystery machine. Fred tells Bullock that he can't search the van, and Bullock shows him a warrant. The members of the Mystery Analysts of Gotham emerge and say that Batman has been acting weird. Bullock asks them to search the van, and they find empty vials of the missing isotope 29. Velma says they were framed, but Bullock refuses to listen and asks them not to do anything stupid. Batman uses a smoke bomb to distract them, and he and the gang run in the mystery machine. Scooby drives as they escape, and the other heroes pursue them. Scooby drives recklessly because he is a dog, and they eventually evade their pursuers. Batman says they are about to enter a place called No Man's Land, and they reach a dead end. Some villains walk to them, and he says he will hold them off, but Shaggy tells him not to worry, and he says he and Scooby will handle it. Shaggy and Scooby dress as sports fans and distract the villains. They then pour mustard and relish on their faces as they rush back into the van and drive away. Batman says there's no way that plan should have worked, and Velma tells him to just go with it. Scooby accidentally bashes into a building where several villains are, and Batman takes the wheel. The Joker and Penguin begin to pursue them with several other goons, and Penguin drops rubber ducks that are explosive. Joker throws several villains on the Mystery Machine, and Batman calls the Batmobile. He gets on the Mystery Machine and fights the villains. While the gang jumps into the Batmobile, Batman then defeats the goons and joins them in the Batmobile, but Joker and Penguin follow the Mystery Machine. Martian Manhunter emerges and tries to stop the Batmobile, but Batman distracts him with a box of cookies. They drive on a train track, and Plastic Man tries to stop them, but a train pushes him away. Batman apologizes for the congestion, and he says he is taking them somewhere they can lie low until their names have been cleared. They then enter the Batcave and are excited as they see costumes that belong to the Bat family. They then watch a press report, and Detective Bullock says they have evidence that Mystery Incorporated is guilty. Then they see a video of Shaggy stealing some equipment, but Velma says it can't be Shaggy because he walked past a box of donuts without eating any. Batman instructs the gang to stay in the Batcave and says he's going to Milo's lab. Shaggy and Scooby rush to the Bat dehydrator and see as it shrinks the food. Batman gives Velma the mud sample he found and tells her to find out where it's from as he drives away. He arrives at Milo's lab and Aquaman emerges and breaks the door open. He says he wants to help Batman, and they walk into the building as Batman continues to hear a voice. The Question emerges and says the building is a dead end. Aquaman says Question isn't ending every sentence with a question, and he is happy. Crimson Cloak emerges, and Batman says he might be Leo's father. Crimson Cloak says he wants Batman, and he attacks him and Aquaman. Meanwhile, Velma tries to examine the soil but watches as it begins to move. He begins to attack them as they run around, and they wonder how it is alive. The mud continues attacking them as they run around, and Daphne says they need Batman's help. Batman wakes up and is tied upside down. Crimson Cloak reveals that he has repaired the teleportation device, and Batman sees that he is unstable. Meanwhile, Fred comes up with a plan, and Scooby and Shaggy act as bait. They then trap the mud monster in the dehydrator and turn it into dust. They then realize who the villain is and say they have to inform Batman, but see that he has been apprehended. Aquaman tries to distract Crimson Cloak, but he sees that Batman is trying to escape and stops him. He activates the teleportation machine, but a Batarang turns it off, and he sees Mystery Incorporated dressed as Batman's sidekicks. Crimson Cloak splits into multiple parts and transforms himself into villains. He begins attacking the gang as they run around and evade him. The gang gets surrounded but uses smoke bombs to distract Crimson Cloak as they escape. They use the dehydrator to dehydrate him and turn him into a pile of sand. Detective Bullock and the police arrive on the scene and the other heroes emerge. They realize that the Crimson Cloak is actually Clayface, and Clayface says he was offered a job to steal the isotopes and frame the gang. They realize he's working for the Riddler, and Bullock says the gang is innocent. Batman then says the Riddler isn't in Arkham Asylum, and a warden confirms his suspicion. Batman then arrests Question and takes off his mask, revealing that he is the Riddler. He says that Riddler switched places with Question during their fight at the bank, and gives Aquaman credit for noticing his change in demeanor. The Riddler then removes his fake hands and runs into the lab, where he pulls a lever and activates the portal. The platform begins to rise, and Riddler says he can use it to vaporize entire sections of Gotham. Question suddenly emerges and knocks the Riddler off the platform. He tries to stop the machine, but the machine gets unstable, and Batman hears the voice. Scooby says he heard the voice, and they see a man in the portal. Batman rushes to the portal, while the others try to reverse the portal's polarity. Batman tries to drag the man out of the portal, and Scooby helps him. He successfully pulls Leo out of the portal, and it shuts down. Professor Scarlet emerges and thanks Batman for saving his son. Batman says it feels good to solve his unsolvable case, and thanks Mystery Incorporated for their help. They realize it's their last night in Gotham, and Velma says she has found out who Batman is. They say Batman is the kindest soul they've ever met, and Batman gives Scooby a snack, but Shaggy steals it. He then swings away using some ropes. The end. Thank you for watching. Please check out these other videos, and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. We'll see you next time.